श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ गीतामात्रे नमः। ॐ श्रीकृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः। सभायै नमः। This is Krishna's 108 names, Ashtottara Shata Namavali. Om Shri Krishnaya Namaha. Om Kamalanathaya Namaha. Om Vasudevaya Namaha. Can you focus Krishna Malli? Om Sanatanaya Namaha. Om Vasudevatmajaya Namaha. Om Punyaya Namaha. Om Leela Manusha Vigrahaya Namaha. Om Sri Vatsa Namaha. Om Yashoda Vatsalaya Namaha. Om Haraye Namaha. Om Chaturbhujatta Chakrasi Gadha Shankadi Ayudhaya Namaha. Om Devaki Nandanaya Namaha. Om Sri Shaya Namaha. Om Nanda Gopa Priyatmajaya Namaha. Om Yamuna Vega Samharine Namaha. Om Balabhadra Priyanujaya Namaha. Om Putana Jivita Haraya Namaha. Om Shakatasura Bhanjanaya Namaha. Om Nanda Vrajana Nandine Namaha. Om Nanda Vrajajana Nandine Namaha. Om Sachidananda Vigrahaya Namaha. Om Navanita Liptangaya Namaha. Om Navanita Nataya Namaha. Om Anaghaya Namaha. Om Navanita Navaharine Namaha. Om Muchukunda Prasadakaya Namaha. Om Shodashastri Sahasreshaya Namaha. Om Tribhangine Namaha. Om Madhurakrataye Namaha. Om Shukavagamrutabdhi Indave Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Om Yoginam Pataye Namaha. Om Vatsavataraya Namaha. Om Anantaya Namaha. Om Dhenukasura Bhanjanaya Namaha. Om Trunikuta Trunavartaya Namaha. Om Yamalarjuna Bhanjanaya Namaha. Om Uttala Tala Bhetre Namaha. Om Gopa Gopishwaraya Namaha. Om Yogine Namaha. Om Koti Surya Samaprabhaya Namaha. Om Ilapataye Namaha. Om Param Jyotishe Namaha. Om Yadavendraya Namaha. Om Yadudvahaya Namaha. Om Vanamaline Namaha. Om Pitavasine Namaha. Om Parijatapaharakaya Namaha. Om Govardhana Chalodhatre Namaha. Om Gopalaya Namaha. Om Sarvapalakaya Namaha. Om Ajaya Namaha. Om Niranjanaya Namaha. Om Kamajanakaya Namaha. Om Kanjalochanaya Namaha. Om Madhughne Namaha. Om Madhuranathaya Namaha. Om Dwaraka Nayakaya Namaha. Om Baline Namaha. Om Vrindavananta Sancharine Namaha. Om Tulasi Dama Bhushanaya Namaha. Om Shamantaka Manihatre Namaha. Om Naranarayanatmakaya Namaha. Om Kubja Krishnambaradharaya Namaha. Om Mayine Namaha. Om Paramapurushaya Namaha. Om Mustikasudachanura Malla Yuddha Visaradaya Namaha. Om Samsara Vairine Namaha. Om Kamsaraye Namaha. Om Muraraye Namaha. Om Narakantakaya Namaha. Om Anadi Brahmacharine Namaha. Om Krishna Vyasanakarshakaya Namaha. Om Shishupala Shirachhetre Namaha. Om Duryodhana Kulantakaya Namaha. Om Vidurakrura Varadaya Namaha. Om Vishwarupa Pradarshakaya Namaha. Om Satyavache Namaha. Om Satyasankalpaya Namaha. Om Satyabhamarataya Namaha. Om Jayine Namaha. Om Subhadra Purvajaya Namaha. Om Jishnave Namaha. Om Bhishma Mukti Pradayakaya Namaha. Om Jagadgurave Namaha. Om Jagannathaya Namaha. Om Venunada Visaradaya Namaha. Om Vrishabhasura Vidhamsine Namaha. Om Banasura Karantakaya Namaha. Om Yudhishthira Pratishthatre Namaha. Om Barhavatam Sakaya Namaha. Om Parthasarathye Namaha. Om Avyaktaya Namaha. Om Geetamrita Mahodadhye Namaha. Om Kaliya Phanimanikya Ranjita Sri Padambujaya Namaha. Om Damodaraya Namaha. Om Yajna Bhoktre Namaha. Om Danavendra Vinashakaya Namaha. Om नारायणाय नमः। ॐ परब्रह्मणे नमः। ॐ पन्नगाशनवाहनाय नमः। ॐ जलक्रीडासमासक्तगोपीवस्त्रापहारकाय नमः। ॐ पुण्यश्लोकाय नमः। ॐ तीर्थपादाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेद्याय नमः। ॐ दयानिधये नमः। ॐ सर्वतीर्थात्मकाय नमः। ॐ सर्वग्रहरूपिणे नमः। ॐ परात्पराय नमः। ॐ परात्पराय नमः। ॐ श्रीकृष्णपरब्रह्मणे नमः. Meenakshi ji, do you mind chanting the Geetam Vande Jaganmataram?
Chant more, eh? You'll do more, yeah.
Meenakshi ji, you may be muted. Meenakshi ji.
Geetam Vande.
Yes, please.
Geetam Vande Jaganmataram Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Gita Vidya Parama Vidya Gita Vidya Parama Vidya Anya Vidya Apara Vidya Nitya Nitya Satya Satya Dharma Dharma Karma Karma Subodhini Gita Prakashini Mata Subodhini Gita Suprakashini Mata Gita Vidya Parama Vidya Mayatita Mohatita Dvandvatita Trigunatita Lokatita Shokatita Kalatita Deshatita Bhagavad Gita Bhavatita Gita Vidya Parama Vidya Kim Vaktavyam Kim Vaktavyam Kim Kartavyam Kim Akartavyam Kim Jnatavyam Kim Ajnatavyam Kim Shrotavyam Kim Ashrotavyam Kim Bodhavyam Kim Bodhavyam Kim Vadaniyam Kim Vadaniyam Kim Karaniyam Kim Karaniyam Kim Bhavaniyam Kim Bhajaniyam Bhoye Tat Sarvam Shri Gita Sastre Viditam Vipulam Srimad Bhagavad Katitam Viditam Vipulam Srimad Bhagavad Katitam Geetam Vande Jaganmataram Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Meenakshi ji, Swamiji, and everyone else. By the grace of Mother Gita and Gurus and Krishna, I penned down these words. And as you could see, Meenakshi ji brought life into those words. Thank you. Thank you, Meenakshi ji. Now I shall chant 108 names of Mother Bhagavad Gita. Om Srimad-Bhagavad-Gitayai Namaha. Om Shri Krishnamritavanyai Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitayai Namaha. Om Vyasena Grathitayai Namaha. Om Sanjaya Varnitayai Namaha. Om Mahabharata Madhyasthitayai Namaha. Om Kurukshetre Upadishtaye Namaha. Om Bhagavatye Namaha. Om Ambarupaye Namaha. Om Advaitamritavarshinyai Namaha. Om Bhavadveshinyai Namaha. Om Astadashadhyayai Namaha. Om Sarvopanishad Namaha. Om Brahma Vidyayai Namaha. Om Yogashastra Rupayai Namaha. Om Shri Krishnarjuna Samvada Rupayai Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Hridayayai Namaha. Om Sundaryai Namaha. Om Madhurayai Namaha. Om Punitayai Namaha. Om Karma Marma Prakashinyai Namaha. Om Kama Sakti Harayai Namaha. Om Tattvajnana Prakashinyai Namaha. Om Nischala Bhakti Vidhayinyai Namaha. Om Nirmalayai Namaha. Om Kalimalaharinyai Namaha. Om Ragadvesha Vidarinyai Namaha. Om Modakarinyai Namaha. Om Bhavabhayaharinyai Namaha. Om Tarinyai Namaha. Om Paramanandapradayai Namaha. Om Ajnana Nashinyai Namaha. Om Asura Bhava Vinashinyai Namaha. Om Daivi Sampatpradayai Namaha. Om Hari प्रियायै नमः ॐ सर्वशास्त्रस्वामिन्यै नमः ॐ दयासुधवर्षिण्यै नमः ॐ हरिपदप्रेमप्रदायिन्यै नमः ॐ श्रीप्रदायै नमः ॐ विजयप्रदायै नमः ॐ भूतिदायै नमः ॐ नीतिदायै नमः ॐ सनातन्यै नमः ॐ सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिण्यै नमः ॐ समस्तसिद्धिदायै नमः ॐ सन्मार्गदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ त्रिलोकी पूज्यायै नमः ॐ अर्जुनविषादहारिण्यै नमः ॐ प्रसादप्रदायै नमः ॐ नित्यात्मस्वरूपदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ अनित्यदेहसंसाररूपदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ पुनर्जन्मरहस्यप्रकटिकायै नमः ॐ स्वधर्मप्रबोधिन्यै नमः ॐ स्थितप्रज्ञलक्षणदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ कर्मयोगप्रकाशिकायै नमः ॐ यज्ञभावनाप्रकाशिन्यै नमः ॐ विविधयज्ञप्रदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ चित्तशुद्धिदायै नमः ॐ ॐ कामनाश उपायबोधिकायै नमः ॐ अवतारतत्त्वविचारिण्यै नमः ॐ ज्ञानप्राप्तिसाधनोपदेशिकायै नमः ॐ ध्यानयोगबोधिन्यै नमः ॐ मनोनिग्रहमार्गप्रदीपकायै नमः ॐ सर्वविधसाधकहितकारिण्यै नमः ॐ ज्ञानविज्ञानप्रकाशिकायै नमः ॐ परापरप्रकृतिबोधिकायै नमः ॐ सृष्टिरहस्यप्रकटिकायै नमः ॐ चतुर्विधभक्तलक्षणदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ भुक्तिमुक्तिदायै नमः ॐ जेव जगदीश्वर स्वरूप बोधिकायै नमः ॐ प्रणव ध्यानोपदेशिकायै नमः ॐ कर्मोपासन फल दर्शिकायै नमः ॐ राजविद्यायै नमः ॐ राजगुह्यायै नमः ॐ प्रत्यक्षावगमायै नमः ॐ धर्म्यायै नमः ॐ सुलभायै नमः ॐ योगक्षेमकारिण्यै नमः ॐ भगवद्विभूतिविस्तारिकायै नमः ॐ विश्वरूपदर्शनयोगयुक्तायै नमः ॐ भगवदैश्वर्यप्रदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ भक्तिदायै नमः ॐ भक्तिविवर्धिन्यै नमः ॐ भक्तलक्षणबोधिकायै नमः ॐ सगुणनिर्गुणप्रकाशिन्यै नमः ॐ क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञविवेककारिण्यै नमः ॐ दृढवैराग्यकारिण्यै नमः ॐ गुणत्रयविभागदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ गुणातीतपुरुषलक्षणदर्शिकायै नमः ॐ अश्वत्थवृक्षवर्णनकारिण्यै नमः ॐ संसारवृक्षच्छेदनोपायबोधिन्यै नमः ॐ त्रिविधश्रद्धास्वरूपप्रकाशिकायै नमः ॐ त्यागसन्न्यासतत्त्वदर्शिकायै नमः। ॐ यज्ञदानतपस्वरूपबोधिन्यै नमः। ॐ ज्ञानकर्मकर्तृस्वरूपबोधिकायै नमः। ॐ शरणागतिरहस्यप्रदर्शिकायै नमः। ॐ आश्चर्यरूपायै नमः। ॐ विस्मयकारिण्यै नमः। ॐ आह्लादकारिण्यै नमः। ॐ भक्तिहीनजनागम्यायै नमः। ॐ जगत उद्धारिण्यै नमः। ॐ दिव्यदृष्टिप्रदायै नमः। ॐ संस्थापिकायै नमः। ॐ भक्तजनसेव्यायै नमः। ॐ सर्वदेवस्तुतायै नमः। ॐ ज्ञानगङ्गायै नमः। ॐ श्रीकृष्णप्रियतमायै नमः। ॐ सर्वमङ्गलायै नमः। ॐ ब्रह्मविद्यायै नमः। ॐ संसारमलमोचिन्यै नमः। ॐ बोधामृततरङ्गिन्यै नमः। ॐ नित्यनूतनभावार्थदामिन्यै नमः। ॐ द्वन्द्वभेदविनाशिन्यै नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतायै नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतायै नमः. Suresh ji, over to you.
Very good. Excellent, Dr. G. Thank you for the wonderful prayers. Welcome everyone to this G.I.T.A Jayanti celebration for 2025. So the agenda, let me share the agenda. I think everyone should have received it in the email, but let me share it. So we just finished the prayer, if you're just joining, and then Swami Bodhananda Saraswati and Shiva Swami Gurugalu will do blessings now. So while Malik ji is setting up for Swamiji, I'll briefly introduce Swamiji. So Swamiji needs no introduction. So Swamiji, Swami Bodhananda Saraswati serves as the director chairman for the Sambodh institutions, both in India and in the US. And he is in the US, such as the Sambodh Society and the Sambodh Foundation in India. And so the website is sambodh.us in the US. So you can check out that website that has lots of details about Swamiji's books as well as various programs. So he also leads the Bodhananda Research Foundation for Management and Leadership Studies, focusing on Indian management principles. In Michigan, USA, he heads the Sambodh Center for Human Excellence, promoting interfaith dialogue through Vedantic teachings. Swami Bodhananda is well versed in Indian philosophical traditions, teaching texts like Advaita Vedanta, Yoga Sutras, and several of us have been very fortunate to learn Bhagavad Gita from him, the Upanishads, and is recognized for his wisdom in the yogic tradition. In India, Swamiji has established 12 Sambodh institutions aiming at social and educational empowerment, especially for underprivileged children and women. His teachings extend to management, where he is acknowledged globally, incorporating the Indic wisdom into contemporary corporate challenges. So he has authored several books, including the ones on Indian management, and then you see on the page the Hindu Dharma for the 21st century. And Malik will talk about self-unfoldment, which is a special book that we are reflecting on every Saturday that Alicia has a Zoom session where we are going through that book. So his engagements include management lectures and courses that integrate Indian philosophical insights with modern leadership principles. So with that, over to you, Swamiji. Thank you so much for blessing us today.
Malik, you have to unmute.
Okay.
Swamiji, you're on mute. Yeah.
Okay. Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you, Dr. Raju. Thank you, Kodi ji, Hari ji, and Gurugalu. I hope you are there. And thanks to all of you. It's a great day today. It's a G.I.T.A Jayanti day. And on this auspicious day, we are launching or releasing this wonderful handbook on Bhagavad Gita, which is, I think, very relevant to the modern times. This handbook of Bhagavad Gita gives you the essential teaching of Gita in a simple language, without any philosophical minutiae or hair splitting. Anybody can read it. Young people, old people, or even those who have studied Bhagavad Gita, they will be benefited by going through this book. Every day, if they can read one sloka and meditate on that, they will be greatly benefited by that. So Bhagavad Gita is to be studied, practiced, experienced, and shared. You have to share your experience with the other people. And I think the importance of Bhagavad Gita, especially in the modern times, is we are living in a very, very inflection point. Things are radically changing. Especially the arrival of artificial intelligence, internet, and various other pleasures and distractions available in the world. What I find is people have lost their self, their identity. They have been completely materialized or objectified. We have become like a machine without any soul. And if you are a machine, you can be manipulated by others. Maybe the big brother sitting in Washington or Beijing or New Delhi will be able to manipulate you by the push of a switch, push of a button. That's a very scary situation. Everything about you is in the cloud. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your brain image, your genetic structure, your shopping preferences and profile, everything, all your choices that you make is there, has become a data point. So you become a data point. You are an algorithm, let's say, or a set of numbers. In that process, we lost our self, our soul, our identity, our agency. And we can be easily manipulated like you drive a slave or an animal. And that is a very horrendous, horrific situation that we are facing today. So that lost self, the self is not lost, self has gone underground, retreated, gone to the background. In the back burner, I should say. So if you want to keep your sanity, your integrity, your agency, your choices, and express your full potential, we must have an understanding of who we are. We are not just machines which can be manipulated, pulled apart, and fixed together by others. We have a subjective self which cannot be manipulated, maneuvered, or changed. So that's loss of that subjective self is the greatest crisis of the modern world. And we have to address it heads on. And we cannot waste time now. Otherwise, we'll be reduced to status of machines or trees or stones. And I think that's a very urgent, serious issue now. So Bhagavad Gita can address that issue. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we have seen Arjuna collapse, first chapter, second chapter, completely confused in the middle of the battlefield, did not know what to do. A kind of loss of self, Arjuna, loss of agency. He himself says that, Karpunya dosho bhagata svabhava. I have lost my sanity, my equipoise or poise. I lost myself. I don't know who am I now. I become a stranger to myself, which is a situation that all of us are facing today. We have been manipulated by the market economy and the modern scientific tools that you have developed. You have become our own enemy now. So that kind of a mental collapse of Arjuna, the loss of self, the soul, the Atman, that is what Bhagavan addresses in the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita helps you to recover your lost self. Gita makes you look at yourself, deep into yourself, beyond the body, mind, ego complex. So that looking deep, a meditative, contemplative look or gaze into oneself is the main teaching of Bhagavad Gita. And of course, it seems to be very difficult because most of us are used to this objective scientific inquiry. Most of us are not used to subjective contemplative inquiry. So we have developed on one level, on the objective level, but we have pygmies on the subjective level. We are giants on the objective. It's like a bird trying to fly with the one wing. If you flap one wing, you will be going round and round and round and round. That's what we are doing now. That's what we are experiencing. Samsara chakra, as they say. So how do we recover the self? Bhagavad Gita has got a method. And once you recover the self, you are a master. You can make your own choices. You can determine your destiny. So that is the promise of Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very important in the modern times, where people have become, life has become meaningless. There is no mooring, there is no ground. We feel uprooted and exiled. And off the center, as they say, become eccentric as a result. So because what the self is immeasurable, non-objectifiable, not a number or algorithm, we don't have the methodology. Science has no methodology to uncover or recover the lost self. And hence the importance of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, of course, talk about the self, then the Ishvara, Jiva, Ishvara, and something beyond. The Ishvara is the context, the ecosystem in which you are embedded. It can extend up to the end of the universe. So Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva, you and I, the body, mind, ego complex, with which you are identified now, which is a machine, no doubt, it's a Prakriti. So if you identify just the body, mind, ego complex, then you are reducing yourself to the status of a machine, which can be manipulated by others. So we have to disidentify, then operate the body, mind, ego complex. So the disidentification process is being discussed very elaborately, Nitya, Nitya, Vastu, Viveka, in the Bhagavad Gita. So our body, mind, ego complex is embedded in this material universe, the Prakriti. And all these forces of the Prakriti put together can be called Ishvara. Of course, the whole Prakriti reflects the power of Brahman. So Ishvara is conditioned Brahman, meaning Prakriti reflecting the light and the power and the bliss of Brahman. That is Ishvara. He is Srishti Sthiti Laya Karta. So as long as we identify with the body-mind ego complex, we have to be a devotee, a bhakta. And once we are a bhakta, the mind becomes calm, quiet, and get an insight into our transcendental nature, which is Nirguna Brahman. So Bhagavad Gita talks about the individual, Ishvara, and Nirguna Brahman. And our ultimate destination is to realize our nature as Nirguna Brahman, that infinite blissful consciousness, disidentify with the body, then operate the body-mind ego complex as you are operating a computer or a car or a machine. So that is the central teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, then meditation, and then knowledge, ultimate knowledge about things. And this program, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Bhagavan's teaching to Arjuna, a man of action, is very, very relevant to the modern times, where we all are groping in the darkness, not knowing what to do. Like a headless chicken, we are running hither and thither from pillar to post. So that kind of a confusion is to be confronted boldly. And Bhagavad Gita can help you to know your real nature, to recover yourself. And Kodiji's book, with Kodiji and Hariji's book, symbol, just a translation of the sloka, which is very simple, with their introduction to each chapter, is a wonderful avatar, I should say, new avatar of Bhagavad Gita. I recommend this book to everyone, every young man who is in a hurry to know things as fast as possible. So that hurried young man, this book can be helpful. So thank you very much. I appreciate the great work done by Hariji and Hodiji and Hariji, and I recommend this book to all of you. Thank you once again. Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji, thank you for the blessings and for penning a beautiful foreword to the book also. So please excuse any imperfections in this program. So I think just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I think you had written it in the foreword, Sarva Rambahi Doshena Dume Nagni Ivavritaha. So thank you so much. And Shilpa ji, please introduce Gurugalu. And Gurugalu, we would love to take your blessings as well. I know that you have to teach a class soon, and it's very early in the morning. So thank you so much for coming and bless this occasion.
Thank you, Sureshji. Namaste. Namaste, everybody. Many of the students of Gurugulu are already here, but a quick introduction about Shivaswami KV. He studied Bhagavad Gita as a student when he did his master's in philosophy. He has been a lecturer throughout his life, and he has been chanting the Gita every day, complete 700 shlokas, 18 chapters every day for about 35 years now. And when he went and he met Sri Virajeshwara Swamiji and told him that this has been his practice, Virajeshwara Swamiji told him that, well, now if you're doing this, this is fantastic. This is both dhyana and gnana. Now it is your duty to spread it to the world, so you should start teaching. And then Guru was not sure that he could start teaching, but since it was an Agni from his Swamiji, he started. And the classes started since 1990. He was teaching in person in Shimoga, where he was living at that time. And he would teach in different houses where some people would come together, and several batches happened during that time in Shimoga. And when COVID hit, in 2020, one of the students from Seattle was dealing with some medical issues, and when he listened to Guru Galu's teachings of Bhagavad Gita on YouTube, he requested that Guru Galu teach it to us in online using Zoom during COVID. And Guru Galu said, I'm not very tech savvy, but if you're able to figure out with my son, then I can start. And little do we know, a week later, the first batch started. And this was in May 2020, and rest is history. Now we are at December 2025, and we are currently running batch 30 and 31. So for several batches, Guru Guru was teaching in Kannada, but for the past 2 batches, he has been teaching in English. So there is one English batch that happens and one Kannada batch. He does 2 batches every day. About 3,000 people have been reached by Guru Guru. He has about 3,000 students. This is our rough calculation what we have. And there are students from all around the globe, from all different continents, Europe, Americas, then Africa and Middle East. Students are from all different corners of the world and all different professions, whether they are farmers or scientists or engineers. We have students from all different fields. So that's a little bit of introduction about Guru Guru. Most of the students here already know him very well. So forgive me for anything I might have omitted. Welcome, Guru Guru. Thank you for joining us. We request you share a few words with us and we seek your blessing.
Thank you, Shilpa. Bodhanji, namaskar to you. You have been giving a live service to promote the Bhagavad Gita. Today is a great day. Just we have completed Gita Jayanti yesterday. So that feeling is still there with us. Worldwide students repeated Bhagavad Gita. It happened in Shimoga, Bangalore. My students did in 5 countries. But we have been finding for a good English book for a long time. We have one in Kannada published by Gorakhpur Press. I don't say it's really perfect because there are some grammatical errors in the book, but still it is one of the cheapest and the best book that we had. And I was conducting only classes in Kannada for a long time, though I have been a spoken English teacher for a long time. And we had guest lectures in our students group for a long time. Among the guests, we had Hari who spoke to us, Dr. Raju who spoke to us, Koti Krishnaji was also there for us, with us. When I recognized Dr. Raju that he is a great scholar of Sanskrit and also a doctor working in US, I wanted him to conduct classes for the people who are willing to know Bhagavad Gita. He did it. And then we requested Koti Krishnaji Krishna to conduct a class. He also did it. And then we asked Hari Ravi Kumar to do it. He also did it. But there was one problem throughout that we were seeing. We all sat with different books in hand. There is a difference between the book and the book in Bhagavad Gita because we have 3 major divisions of spirituality, Advaita, Dvaita, and Vishittadvaita. We are more concerned about whether it is 1 or 2 or many than what is important for our life, we had forgotten. So beyond that, we needed a book. And we have been in need of a book like that, which should tell us what ought we to do in our life. In this country, there has been a great danger of spirituality because in our 2 major religions, once a week, they get together. There is a man to tell what is there in their religion. Every weekend, it's a compulsory thing that they have to attend the church or mass. But nothing was with us. There are only some people who knew about Gita and other things. We only depended on some small temples in each town. That was all that we had. Go there, God is there, and do some puja there, and your life is done. This is what we did for a very long time. Still, I am happy that people have been calling themselves Hindus, even with that simple arrangement. But there is a need for us to show that we have one of the greatest personality development training given by Krishna to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. If we want to save our culture, forget everything, there are people who want to save it and they will do it. Must give at least one book Bhagavad Gita to every person who calls himself a Hindu. And if he thinks that this is the book according to which I am asked to live by the God, cosmic consciousness, Krishna, probably we will be doing that work to our capacity. I really know that we can't reach the entire world with our small organizations. But small organizations like this can spread. Now I have been seeing a great atmosphere for Bhagavad Gita around. Say, for example, on 28th of this month in Udupi, our Prime Minister also recited the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita with the people. And there is one program going on by Swarnavalli Swamiji in Karnataka to spread the message of Gita. They also conducted Gita Parayana yesterday in many of the places. There are many unknown organizations like this doing this great job, which ought to be done if you want to save Hinduism. If not, we will be lost. People will think there is nothing for me except going to the temple in my religion. So there is a necessity, which people have been realizing this of late. Therefore, in my view, thousands and in fact even millions of teachers are necessary to spread the message of Gita. Not one, not two, it must be in all languages. Because Bhagavad Gita is in Sanskrit and we have forgotten Sanskrit altogether. We actually delinked from Sanskrit ourselves, not knowing that our language has come from Sanskrit basically. In many of my classes, as Kotis Krishna's classes are Sri Hari Ravi Kumar who ran in English, there are people from other languages. Whatever may be your Indian language, you have many of your words that you use every day in Bhagavad Gita. It ought to be an easy one. Doesn't need a commentary making thousands of pages for Bhagavad Gita to understand it. We must be able to make it very simple, understandable, and to put into practice. In fact, it is not a treatise told by Krishna in peacetime. It's really a serious book. How to lead a life of tension, free of tension. That's exactly the point. Unless after having conducted so many batches, I have found the joy that people see after they complete the Bhagavad Gita course. They say their life has changed. With all the sad things in their life, they feel confidence to face the life. With many of the people who studied under me, Bhagavad Gita lost their children, lost their husbands and wives, and so on and so forth. That's the natural process, they understand it then. Krishna won't allow us to get into confusion what this life is. He makes it very clear. So we need books. And Sureshji and Venkatraju ji asked Hari Ravi Kumar and Koti Krishna ji to prepare a book, a pocket book. It is easy to, it should be easy to carry and simple in language. They have done it. They have done it well. And there is another demand from our side to Hariji and Kotiji. As I have been conducting English classes, we have been having different books by different authors, and that will confuse the learners. We should all be able to have a common book in the classroom. So we have a request to Hari Ravi Kumar to write one more with lot of space. There is one thing that I observed and told Shilpa ji other day. In the book that we need, we want a place for the people to cut and paste Bhagavad Gita in their mother tongue just about the italics writings in English. Because even as a student of philosophy, it is difficult to read Sanskrit shloka in the right manner if we see the English version of it. However, with symbols, you try to explain it to differentiate the pronunciation. It won't give the right direction. Only when they have a book in their hand, in their own mother tongue, they understand English, no problem with their English. Shloka reading should not be confusing for them. They must enjoy reading the shlokas. So, if there is a place in the book somewhere here, to paste a book, to paste the mother tongue print exactly in the spot, that will be a great book of theirs for a lifetime and their progeny, people to come in the next generation. So that is the book that I expect. This is a good book in English, simple one. I have gone through many of the shlokas, and Hari is a simple man, doesn't want to confuse with Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishta, Advaita concepts, but what is life and what is Bhagavad Gita. I am really happy about the two young ones among us, Hari Ravi Kumar and Arjun Bharadwaj. Young ones, they have a lot of life left with them to spread the message of Gita and our culture, which they have been doing it. And I wish them very good luck, and let this book become very popular. Let this book be in the hand of so many to understand Bhagavad Gita. I just release the book for the public for their enjoyment. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Gurugale.
As my time is up, I have to enter the class in 10 minutes. Please allow me to leave the meeting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we will record the session. You can always watch it later, Gurugale.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the book is available in both India and the US. And you can, if you have not ordered the book, I highly recommend that you get it. So we will hear from Hari Ravikumar about about the book itself, and also why you should read Gita. Hari is a prolific author. It's very early in the morning for him. So thank you, Hari ji, for taking time out of your schedule. So he's the author of many books, and he's a polymath. Uh, uh, he is a writer. He started as an engineer. He knows like software, and he knows typesetting. He has so many skills, and then he has ability to explain things very simply. So I will let Hariji explain why Gita and why this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Sureshji. Om Tat Sat. Good evening to everybody who is in the US. Good morning if you are in the eastern part of the world. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you. So many of you have joined this online gathering to release this book, and I'm very grateful to you. First, I should express my thanks to Dr. Venkataraju and Sri Suresh Srinivas. They are the main reason why this book happened, because they wanted to have our Bhagavad Gita, which Dr. Koti Sri Krishna and myself had initially translated in 2011 under the title The New Bhagavad Gita. Then later we came up with 3 other versions. And when they had looked at it, they wanted something which is handy and which can be given like a pocket book, and which can be given as a gift, graduation gift. So they were mainly responsible for bringing this out. I must also thank Swami Podananda Saraswati ji for very graciously writing a foreword, and also addressing all of you today with his words of wisdom. And to Sri K.V. Shivaswami Gurugalu, who was very persistent in getting me to do a full-fledged Bhagavad Gita course, and also later Dr. Koti Sri Krishna did a course. So because of his insistence, we did, because I never had the confidence I could do a full-fledged course. So I must thank him as well. And thanks to Shilpa ji for putting all of us together. So with these words of gratitude, I will speak a few words about why Bhagavad Gita and why this book. It is a pertinent question to ask, why should we go into the past? Why should we look at Bhagavad Gita? It's an old book. What is there in it? It's not something to be brushed away. I think it is a pertinent question. Of course, Swamiji has given a very profound explanation for what is there in the Gita. But in terms of why we should go back to the past, I think any learning that happens, whether it is in school, everybody goes to school, we learn physics and math and biology, geography, economics, whatever we study in school, everything is built on the knowledge of the past. So whatever subject, whether it is to do with philosophy, whether it's a secular subject, everything is going back to what the great thinkers of the past have done. Without that, if you don't want to go into the past, we cannot learn any subject. So if you look at, I always give this example, you look at a high school physics textbook, or you look at a high school math textbook, what is contained in 120 or 150, 200 pages of that book, it represents almost 5,000 or 2,000 years of continuous thought and development in that particular subject. We may study Newton's laws of motion in half a page, but it has taken a man so many years to come up with that. And Newton himself said, it is only by standing on the shoulder of giants that I've been able to see further. So although it is just like a half a page, it's taken a lifetime to put together. So like that, when we see any subject, we have to depend on the wisdom and the knowledge of the past. So therefore, there is merit in going to a book written in the past. Now, when it comes to material subjects, anything to do with the material world, which technically in Sanskrit we call it Adibhuta, it's to do with the Panchabhutas, what is the material world. naturally things have to develop one after the other. So it is in a kind of progressive manner. So the previous generation came up with so many new learnings. Based on that, today we have some new technology. So if you are today able to use your computer, able to use Chat GPT, able to use some technology, it is because of the silicon chip. It's because of some other development. So like this cumulative development has happened over the years. So every generation benefits from what the previous generation has brought out. But in the case of the emotional and the spiritual plane, we can directly benefit from the wisdom of the past. Now, there is no need to do any change to appreciate a work of Kalidasa, whether Kumara Sambhava or Abhignana Shakuntalam. We read it in the original if we know the language, and we can directly appreciate it. Now, in works of spirituality like Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and various Prakarana Granthas, we have that wisdom available with us, and it makes sense only when we are able to internalize it by practicing it in our life. But it becomes important for us because although the material problems we face today may be different from what people faced 100 years ago, the emotional and spiritual problems are the same. Now, today, the problem, if you ask a person from Bangalore, they may say, oh, the traffic is a problem. Whereas 100 years back, if you ask my great grandmother what the problem was, they did not have water. So they had to go walking with the pot and bring it. Today, we have a tap water. But the material problems are different. Whereas the emotional and spiritual problems are the same. So even 300 years ago, there was greed and anger and jealousy. Even 3,000 years ago, there was greed and anger and jealousy. Even 30,000 years ago, it was there. So because this has remained the same, the basic needs of human being, emotional needs, the helplessness, hope, the anger and greed and all these things have remained the same. Therefore, a work which has thought, which has cogitated about these problems and given us solutions, and these solutions have been implemented, tried and tested for 3,000, 5,000 years, and it is given to us. Naturally, it is a much more effective way to deal with the problems of our life rather than trying to come up with something now. So there is a Subhashita, I don't remember the exact lines, but it is foolish to start digging a well when there is a fire in your house. So you can't start digging a well and hope to get water once the fire has started. So you must have dug the well and water should be there. Then you can douse the fire. So like that, our ancestors, great ancestors, have already dug the well and given us the most beautiful and freshest water with the wisdom of the Gita. All we have to do is present, and it will help us in dousing the fire which is raging every day in our life. So I think that is the importance of the Gita, where a great mind of the past has given some answers for the problems, and great thinkers across time and space have found it beneficial. So I think it is a good place for us to start when we want to try and solve some of our problems. Now, as for the propagation, now Shivaswamy sir also spoke about propagating the Gita. Now, the Bhagavad Gita itself tells us, gives us the guidelines on how to share this. In the 18th chapter, Krishna says that don't share this with somebody who is not interested. It's totally opposite of the idea of proselytization, right? So here, if you are interested, we will share with you. If you're not interested, Krishna says, don't hassle people if they're not interested to learn this. However, if somebody is interested, it is almost your duty to go and share this. It's almost like doing a jnana yajna, he says. It is a yajna you will be doing. If somebody is interested to know, if you know a little bit, you should share the wisdom, you should share the words of the Gita. Of course, none of us can claim that, oh, we have all the answers, we have figured it out. Even Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa never said, I have all the problems, you just come, I will give you all the answers. It's like Gita is like an ocean. We are all having like our own small, like a pot or a cup. Maybe Swamiji has a big bucket, we have a small cup. But at the end of the day, all these are smaller than the ocean. But even then, with our small cup, whatever is there, somebody is thirsty and they want a drink of water, then it is our duty to share a little bit whatever we have with us. And this is not like a real cup of water which will get empty if we share. It's like an inexhaustible cup. We share it with more people, it will still remain full with us. So it is very, very valuable for us to share with people who are having some interest. And like I have, Kotiji and me have often mentioned this, that all the verses may not be for everyone, but there will be something in Bhagavad Gita for everybody. You will find some verse, whatever be your persuasion, whatever be your inclination, your orientation. Some people may be very staunch believers in the Supreme. Some people may be, agnostic, or like I say, they are apatheists. So they may be not having any particular interest. Some people may be atheists, or some people may be deracinate Hindus. Whatever be your background, even if you are following different religions from different parts of the world, there will be something which is you find interesting. This I found also practically, because when first Dr. Koti Sri Krishna and myself worked on the new Bhagavad Gita, I had wanted this work to be accessible across the boundaries. It's not only meant for people from Bangalore, or only for people from India, or only for Hindus. I wanted it to be read and understood by people from other countries as well. So we ended up sharing this manuscript of our book with almost 30 people from different walks of life and different cultures. So I had a friend of mine who's a lawyer, who's a Bulgarian. I had a friend who's a physicist from Chile, and had another friend who's a social worker from Germany. Like this, different people across the board. I shared the manuscript, and everybody gave the feedback that we found something which is so nice, so valuable. A professor of English in China, like there's different people, and they all gave the feedback that I found this to be so interesting, and they found different things to be interesting. It's not the same thing. So then it kind of reaffirmed, I got the reconfirmation that there is something valuable for different people from different walks of life. So therefore, one has to go through the Bhagavad Gita. Take a couple of minutes, tell you what is there in this book. It's a handbook, basically meant as a sort of graduation gift. The kind of visualization and the idea was given by Dr. Venkata, and then of course Kotiji and myself sat and said, okay, we'll try to figure out how to go about doing this. We didn't want to put the same material from our earlier books here. Otherwise, it would be very boring. It would just be a typesetting job. So then we decided, with of course Dr. Raju's insistence, that we should add a small chapter summary. So that is, in case you have our old book, and if I have to make a pitch for this book, it has a chapter summary. So before reading the chapter, one can quickly go through the chapter summary in about 10 minutes. You'll get an idea. Then go through the entire chapter verse by verse. After reading the chapter, you can go back to the chapter summary as a ready reckoner. So if you're finished reading the Bhagavad Gita, then you can just look at the chapter summaries alone, and that will give you, this like this, we have given a chapter summary. That will give you an idea of what the chapter contains. So that is something new here. Otherwise, it is just the original verse in the Devanagari script and the IAST script, with a simple translation. In some cases, we have given like additional explanations, like in the footnote, where we want to make things a little more clear, like some words which we have retained the Sanskrit words for, the terms which don't have a single word equivalent. So it is easier because, I think Guru Guru was saying, many of the words are same in most of the Indian languages. So if you say dharma, kama, moksha, these words are, there in all the languages. People understand it immediately. So there is no need for any further explanation. Whereas if I give a one-word equivalent, it may not immediately connect. So that's what we have done with the Bhagavad Gita handbook, and I hope you find this to be interesting and go through it. And of course, like always, if you feel that there's anything we can correct, we can improve, I am always welcome to receive any suggestions, because we have come here this far only because of the valuable suggestions given to us over the years by different readers. And so any suggestion or criticism, I always look at it as a gift, because it helps us to improve and learn better. So with this, I think I'll call it, go to the next. Usually, like Kotiji will be joking, when we start speaking, our audience don't look at the watch, they look at the calendar. So let that not happen. I will close here and give it back to Suresh ji, and we can go ahead with the rest of the program. Thank you all once again for being here. It's a wonderful occasion on G.I.T.A Jayanti, and best wishes.
Yeah, thank you, Hariji. And Hariji is, as always, very humble. I think the amount of work that he put into it, every email and every small feedback, he was able to take and fix it and get everything kind of done. So hats off to you. So with that, we'll transition to Koti Sri Krishna. And Hariji, would you like to introduce your uncle?
Yeah, sure. So there is, of course, a formal listing here right at the end of the book, but I will. This you can always see what he was a senior scientist at Procter and Gamble after doing his PhD in biochemistry. However, more importantly, I think in some sense, he is been a lifelong student of Bhagavad Gita. His father, K.S. Krishna Tattachar, was a very great Sanskrit scholar and a teacher of Sanskrit. So, from a very young age, although he wanted to play cricket, instead he got to sit and learn Bhagavad Gita with his dad. I think when he was 6 or 7, he had learned the recitation of all the 700 shlokas. And he's also very illustrious family. His elder brother also is very knowledgeable about many of these things. So that the whole environment in his house was academic and a very deeply erudite circle. So he was particularly interested in Gita, and he was looking for some work which would be giving the meaning of the Gita without sacrificing the content at the altar of the extra fittings and commentaries. When finally he couldn't find any book that he could wholeheartedly recommend to people, he said, well, why not start writing it? And then later, of course, I got involved in the project. It's a long story, but he has been a lifelong student of the Gita, and he has been responsible, even in the US, to create a lot of interreligious dialogue, discuss with a lot of people, and share the wisdom of the Gita. It's a great pleasure for me that I had good fortune of being his co-author for more than, I don't know, close to 20 years. And present you, Dr. Koti Sri Krishna.
Thank you. Can all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, very good. Without two Haris, there would not be this book. One is, of course, the original Hari who taught Gita, and my nephew Hari Ravi Kumar, without which nothing would happen. This book would not be here. So my highest gratitude to him. He's definitely about few inches taller to me physically and also in every other respect. Also thank Dr. Raju, who is a kind of initiator, Sutradhari, and of course, Bodhanand Saraswati ji, and Gurugalu, and Shilpa, and Suresh, and many people who are responsible for us to be in this state. So I'm going to just focus on some unique verses we taught. I call it a handling of few key verses in the Bhagavad Gita handbook. Of course, I've seen here the cartoon of Dr. Raju's granddaughter. It's symbolic that we are all children of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the highest form, most common form of Krishna worship is Srinathji as Balakrishna. And it's a message for us to remain childlike without being childish. So that is the message of this opening slide. I'll touch upon few verses which we have handled here. Hopefully, I won't take too much time than 20 minutes. The first one is in the chapter first, verse 10. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshitam. Paryaptam tu idametesham balam bhima virakshitam. Here, half the translators have translated Duryodhana thinks that his army is strong, and the other half say it is he thinks it is the Pandavas' army which is strong. We chose, we use Gita itself as a reference for deciding that Duryodhana is feeling that it is Pandavas' army which is strong. Because as we notice here, he's telling it is Balam Bhima Virakshitam. He's telling, although it was Drishtadyumna, he knows that Bhima is very serious. And any army protector, Bhima is very strong. Whereas Bhishma, he thinks is a little bit half-hearted, as his body is with Kauravas and mind is with Pandavas. That's why we translate it as Duryodhana thinks Pandava army is strong. Also in the context, if you notice, Duryodhana early on introduces the Pandava army saying, there are many, Bhima Arjuna Samayudhi, he says there. You know, Bhima and Arjuna are great warriors, and Duryodhana is telling that there are many people like that on the Pandava side, which already gives us a clue that he's kind of little bit shaken by the Pandava side. And then when he says this one, immediately after that, he says, Bhishma mevavi rakshantu bhavanta sarva evahi. Why would he immediately tell Bhishma should be protected if he thought that his army was already very strong, the army led by Bhishma? So that also gives us clue that he is thinking it is the Pandava army which is strong. Furthermore, Bhishma says, then the Gita says, Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuruvriddha pitamaha. So to cheer up Duryodhana, he had to blow his conch. That also shows that Duryodhana was depressed. So we debated like this, used the Gita itself as a reference. We concluded that the army led by Bhima, according to Duryodhana, is stronger than their own side. And typically, when it comes to chapter 1, people say Arjuna had 3 worries, usually 2 worries, they say. One is killing his own relatives. After all, they're all his relatives. In fact, when Dhritarashtra said Mamakaha, Arjuna uses Swajanam 4 times. So that is one reason given. The other one they give is, of course, he thought that there will be a lot of chaos created in the society because of the war. All the warriors and the men will be killed and the women will be abused by society and all those things. And his third concern was Patanti Pitaro Hesham Lupta Pindodaka Kriyaha. And he thinks that Narake Aniyetam Vaso Bhavatitya Anushrama. He says that there is eternal condemnation because of devoid of post-death rights. It is actually, we kind of discuss, it's a fallacy of Arjuna, because in Sanatana Dharma, both Sarga and Naraka are transient. There is nothing like eternal condemnation. And also, if you look at Gita itself, Krishna says how this Sarga is only transient. We keep going and back and forth. And also, our destination, post-death destination, is not dependent on Sraddham and Tarpanam. They are only kind of tradition and the duty, respect people show, remaining people show. It is really not liberating anyone. Uddhared Atmanatmanam, Gita itself says. Gita shows so many paths for liberation. There is no Shraddha Tarpana Yogo Nama in Bhagavad Gita. And Gita even says that whatever the state of mind we have, Yayam vapi smaran bhavan tyadatyante kalevaram tantame vaite kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. So it says it puts complete responsibility on ourselves. So based on that, we think it's a fallacy of Arjuna. And unfortunately, many people have wedded to Arjuna Gita. They have always put extra importance on this. And in fact, it has been pretty stressful on many people. It's a guilt trip. If we are not doing these things, are we basically causing the fall of our ancestors? So it is kind of, it has remained with us. So I think Gita clarifies it. And interestingly, the very first advice of Krishna to Arjuna, when we say that it is chapter 2, verse 11, starts the real preaching of Gita only after Arjuna asked for advice. So here he says, Ashocyan anvashocastum prajnavadanscha bhashase gatasu nagatasuncha nanushocanti panditaha. Very first advice he says that you grieve, for that you should not, yet you speak of wisdom. So in other words, many people translate this as Ashocyan as people. You should not grieve for these people, as though they think that gives the impression that Kauravas are not worth grieving. But that's not true. According to what Krishna is saying, it is the concept. You should not grieve. You should not grieve for Yudhishthira either, or for anybody, because this is something we should not worry. We should get over the habit of worrying itself, because worry does not solve any problem. But Arjuna was really worried about the departed people. So that's why this is also one of the changes. Many people translate it as people. He is referring to, no, it is the concept of should not worry. Another very popular shloka, almost everyone knows Bhagavad Gita, means even Doordarshan Mahabharata always had this shloka. This is karmanye vajikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahe turbuhu mate sangostva karmani. But here the critical word is adhikara. And more than 30 to 40 people or illustrious translators have translated it as right or duty. You have duty only to act, but you have no duty to enjoy the fruits of action. You can bake a cake, but you should not eat it. That is the kind of translation they are given. But if you look at Bhagavad Gita, early on Krishna says, Atova prapsasi swargam jitvava bhokshase mahim. He says that, so he didn't say that if you win and just walk away. He says that if you win, you can enjoy this earth, kingdom. So obviously, we are entitled to enjoy the fruits of action. But it is, but what he is saying here is another meaning for adhikara is control. Of all the published books I looked at, only 4 of them use control for adhikara. Because control only on your actions, but you cannot control the outcome. So the second part is fine, because you don't control the outcome, you should not be lazy. I am going to do this only if I am going to win. It just doesn't work, because our control is only an action and not on the outcome. Then if we don't have control on the outcome, who has the outcome? Who has the control on that, on the outcome of actions? Krishna itself answers this in the chapter 18, verse 14. Adhishtanam tatha karta karanancha prithak vidam vividascha prithak cheshtahad daivam chaivatra panchamam. So here the situation, the individual, the tools one has, how he uses the tools, and finally the unknown forces, nobody knows. That is Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. It is just like the acts of God in an insurance policy. Nobody knows that. It could be our past karma, or it could be something else happening elsewhere. So this is one of the words actually lost in the every translation we have looked at, except for 2. One is attributed to Satya Sai Baba on the internet. Another is in Jivana Dharma Yoga, written by Dr. D.V. Gundappa. So they are the only 2, and of course ours is the 3. So we have some basis for this to translate it like that. It makes perfect sense. The situation, the timing, the context important. Of course, the individual karta is always important. They can make a big difference. We know how Modi is a different prime minister than other prime ministers, and the tools which are at the disposal of one, and how the tools are applied, and always there is an unknown factor. Whereas if you look at, I've given you some examples of this translation available to us in the literature. You can see that the 5 factors are the place of action, body, the person executing the action, the senses, efforts, and finally the supreme soul. That is in the big red book, which inspired us to create this handbook. It doesn't make much sense. In fact, even if you take our our second president, who was a philosopher, Professor Radhakrishna, it is the seat of action in Likewise, the agent, the instruments of various sorts, the many kinds of efforts, and providence being the fifth. All this, basically, this importance of this verse has been lost in translation. You cannot separate the karta from its senses. After all, it's all part of the karta. His senses come with the karta. In only one situation in Panchatantra story, we know that the monkey had left its heart on the tree, but it doesn't happen. So karta comes with all those things. So that is why we stick to this translation. It makes more sense. And the moral of this is do the best you can with what you have and where you are. After all, that is the best anyone can do. Interestingly, in the very next sloka, Krishna says that Nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha. He says that irrespective of your intention is good or bad, these are the same five things. It's nothing like if you are doing good, God is behind you, nothing like that. So it's very interesting that we really got this kind of translation of this verse actually helps to relieve some of the, brings out the value of this verse. So then Krishna himself says in chapter 5, Nakartratyam na karmani lokasya sridati prabhu na karma pala sanyogam sabhavastu pravartate. He says, I am not, God does not command people to act. God does not create activities or its associated rewards. All this arises from our own nature. He also says, Nadatte kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhuhu agnane navratam gnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. God is not responsible for good or evil. People attribute it to God out of ignorance. Agnane navratam gnanam. That is the reason. So this is also very, very noteworthy here. We cannot blame Henry Ford for drunken driving. So we cannot blame God for the bad things, for the evil people do on earth. So what if, so you won't always succeed just because you did something. You may not succeed because the five factors, some of them may work against you, like the Daivam Jaivatra Panchamam, some context or something may happen. So there is no guaranteed success. But Krishna promises that Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatin Tata Gachati. So one who strives to do good never ends up in misery. That's what Krishna says. So it puts it in a better position to try next time, or whether it is in next life, whichever way you think of it. And it's another interesting sloka we thought. This is in chapter 3. Here is a Ishtan Bhogan Hivo Devaha Dasyante Yagna Bhavitaha Tairdattan Apradayabhyo Yo Bhunkte Stena Evasaha. Krishna is, of course, a thief. He's a butter thief. He used to steal garments of ladies taking bath. He used to do all this. He's a master thief. But he defines in Bhagavad Gita who is a real thief. This is when we don't pay back to the infrastructure. Devas are the natural infrastructure, as well as today we can include all the human-made infrastructure. If we take advantage from them, we should pay back to them. If we don't do that, we are nothing but a thief. That is, if we enjoy all our blessings using the infrastructure, natural as well as human-made, if we don't pay back, we are nothing but a thief. So this is obviously we pay tax for earning some income using the infrastructure, but there are some things which are beyond, which we are not paying tax for that. For example, if you go to a restaurant, we know that the profit margin for the restaurant is in the beverages, not in the main dish. If it's everyone orders only the main dish, the restaurant will close down. Nobody wants to work for break even. So when you go to a restaurant, we must order a beverage. And beverage is more expensive than what it is worth for. Even a water, or even at least in Europe, they charge for water. Any beverage you ask is more expensive than what you can get it just in Kroger. So basically, that is the way we are paying back. If we don't do that, we are like a thief. Of course, when you get old, especially people of my age, our brain shrinks and prostate swells, and we end up using a lot of gas stations when you are on a highway for restroom. When you go there, It's too bad they don't charge for us to use the restroom. When we use it, we should also buy something, buy coffee, or even of course, buying coffee will make you to go back again sooner. But nevertheless, we should do that. Otherwise, we are nothing but a thief. It's another, the very next sloka, Yagnashishta Sinasanto Muchyante Sarvakilvishaihi Bunjate Te Tvagam Papaha E Pachanti Atmakaranat. Here, this is Gita talks about Ahara Shuddhi here, if you look at it, because everything we should take as a remnant from Yagna. Remnant from Yagna means after worship, it is like a prasada. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that we have to light up and do a havan every time before we eat something. What he is implying here is we should take everything as a prasada bhava with an attitude of gratitude. It doesn't matter not just the prasadam given in the temple, but even if we eat in a restaurant or anywhere, it should be like with an attitude of gratitude. We did not, we have to, even if we paid for it, we should not have ownership. This should be true for all our blessings, because we didn't create this world, we are only using it. So we should have an attitude of gratitude for all our anything we get. So a lot of people insist that just because we have like a kosher, Jain food, halal, we should also put shuddhi on Hindu food. It doesn't make any sense. You can always list the ingredients. People can eat what they want according to their taste, yata shakti, yata ruchi, but they cannot put a shuddhi label, because the shuddhi comes at the time of consumption. So that is the concept. Just like the Christian, they have to say grace before eating food. It's not, there is no Christian food label. Likewise for Hindus also, it should be attitude of gratitude. We should remember. There are some people who say, I made this parota from scratch. I did not buy it from Patel brother, they say, but I sell, that is great. You made it from scratch, but you can claim that you made it from scratch only if you first made this world. Then only you can claim that. So in a way, you can see from Gita that if you go to a restaurant and ate with a arrogance that I paid for that, you ate only sin. And if you didn't order a beverage, you also are a thief. So you can become both thief and a sinner at once. It's another important verse. It's actually a meaning pretty much lost in translation. This is Tattva-vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. Here the trick word is guna guneshu. That means our gunas work with gunas. That's how they translate. ಗುಣಗಳು ಗುಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ತಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. Gunas work with gunas. But interestingly, Dr. D.V. Gundappa said that our gunas work in accordance with the gunas of the society we live in. There is always a Desha Dharma, Kala Dharma, that our Swami Bodhanand Saraswati Ji was telling. We are always, things are changing. And when we hold on to our values, the changes doesn't matter. We understand, we adjust according to that. The Sanatana Dharma itself says that everything is bound by Desha and Kala. Dharma is bound that. If we don't do that, we basically get confused. We get, obviously, we get perturbed. Oh, this is not happening this way. This is the way it was happening in Chamrajpet. It is not happening like that in Mason, Cincinnati, or Ohio. So we have to understand that all our mannerisms correspond to the mannerism of society or the surroundings we live in. That is very important to remember. It's a beautiful verse. And again, thank Dr. Gundappa. I don't think we found a better meaning for this verse anywhere else. Is another one. Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharma Swanushtita Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Bhayavaha. And the Swadharma is a lot of them translated more as whatever your particular home you belong to, or particular caste or subcaste. My Swadharma is to put Namam on my head and do Ekadashi and things like that, follow all the Sri Vaishnava principles. That is my Swadharma. But that is secondary. Here, Swadharma really means what we are good, what we are, what is our bliss, what makes us happy, what we are tuned to. We should stay close to what we are. Swadharma basically means working in tune with our own inherent nature. Unfortunately, a lot of time this Swadharmo Vigunaha is changed as your own caste or subsect or family duty, but that's not true. Even in a family of 4 siblings, there will be 4 different swadharmas. So they should follow whatever they are good at. That's what Krishna is saying. In chapter 18, he actually converts the swadharma into swakarma. Sese karmanya viruchaha samsiddhim lavate naraha swabhavanetam karma kurvannapnoti kulbisham. He says he should stay, he changes swadharma to swakarma. That's another one. Yeah. This is comes in the chapter 4. How Krishna says that it was taught early on, but the yoga was lost. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa. Arjuna was questioning everything. What happened? Why? This question he never asked. Why was yoga lost? He never asked. Who lost it? He never asked. Obviously, Arjuna was brought up in a very traditional family with royal traditions and royal gurus, everything. And as far as we know, there was no other religion coming and invading India at that time. So it was lost from within. That's what Hari and I decided. This is the rampa of the parampara. So over the time, the eternal yoga gets cluttered by tradition and complicated by excessive scholarship. Thus, it gets practically lost. So with time, that's what happens. This is just like a baby starts with a nice diaper. With the time, as the time passes, the diaper gets dirty, even though it is Procter & Gamble diaper, even though the baby's mother only had put the diaper, we should change it, throw it. But often, unfortunately, people sometimes throw the baby and keep the diaper. That's why a lot of time, a lot of confusion comes. So this is a kind of our own conclusion. Arjuna never asked how it was lost. It's another verse there, 413. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram api mam vidya kartaram avyayam. Here often this guna is translated as triguna. But we think that guna is not triguna here. It represents triguna as well as all the virtues or the properties or the inherent things of that person. Like the guna of gold is to be malleable and ductile, like that guna of iron has to be very hard and strong. Like that every one of us have triguna is attitude, but guna includes everything else also. You have 3 attitudes and 4 varnas. So a lot of people translate guna, but if you look at Gita itself, this is what Hari and I did. We wanted to find proof for Gita itself anytime there was some doubt or some enigmatic verses. There, if you look in chapter 14, Krishna talks in detail about sattva, raja, and tamo gunas. At no time he included varna in that. He says all the properties of those gunas, but no attachment to any varna. Likewise, in chapter 16, he talks of Daiva Asura. There also, there was no addition of any varna. Anybody can be Asura, anybody can be Daiva. So that is why we clearly said guna here means all the properties, attributes of a given person, and our action, karma, should be attuned to that one. It's a chapter 5 verse. It's a beautiful verse. Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoteha lipyate nasapapena padma patram ivambhasa. The beauty of Bhagavad Gita is every time we go look at it with some new ideas. This is thanks to all our elders here and friends and devotees of Gita who wanted us to do a summary of each chapter before giving the chapter. So when we are doing that, it occurred to us just this one line, Brahmanyadaya karmani. Forget about the other things. Out of 2,400 lines of Gita, you can forget just this one line. If we invoke supreme to anything we do, even if we do it with attachment, that's okay. Just the one line. If we bring supreme purpose to whatever we do, we will add value to it, both to our own life and to the society at large. That karma yoga, other things can come later. Just this one line out of 2,400 lines, 2,800 lines is very valuable. Brahmanyadaya karmani. If you just remember that, bring supreme purpose to anything we do. That is the invoking the supreme. This is in the chapter 8, we have two verses here telling the passage during Uttarayana versus Dakshinayana, the yogi living in the Uttarayana will not come back, whereas the yogi in Dakshina will come back. That's fine. But here, a lot of time, the parts are highlighted here, Agnir Jyoti Rahas Shuklaha. Each gets translated in some translation, in the presence of fire, in the presence of illumination, like that each one of them is Shukla, like a Shukla Paksha, Aha, daytime. It gets individual words are given like that in translating. But actually, we concluded that Agni, Jyoti, Yaha, Shukla, all of these are adjectives to Uttarayana because those kinds are there even in the Dakshinayana. There is no reason to attribute them. It's not even Shukla Paksha. It is Agni, Jyoti, Aha, Shukla. All are attributes to Uttarayana. Likewise, Dumo, Ratris, Tatha, Krishnaha are just adjectives to Dakshinayana. Don't need to translate each of them as smoke, and there is smoke all the time in many cities. That is not the issue because of pollution, but those are only adjectives. That is one aspect in this pair of verses. The other one is always how come there is a discrimination? Both are yogis. This refers only to yogis. Ayogyas will come back no matter when they go. That's not an issue. Both here are yogis. Why there is discrimination between one living in Dakshinayana versus one living in Uttarayana doesn't mean that to stay on the equator with 1 foot on northern hemisphere and 1 foot on southern hemisphere. That's not true. What is Krishna is saying here perhaps is that there are some people, yogis, who live in the Dakshina and they come back, they're born again. They are ajanma siddhas. They come to guide others. If every realized person packs up and goes, there needs some people to show an example, be a model for other people. So we concluded that perhaps it is Krishna's plan that the people, the yogis who live in Dakshinayana, they come back as a guidepost to other people. We know of people born with wisdom. Ajanma siddhas are there, even if they don't have information or knowledge, but they have that wisdom, the siddhi. So that is how we handle this verse. This is in chapter 9, Raja Gushya Raja Vidya Yogam here. Mami Partha Vyapashritya Episyu Papayoneha Striyo Vaishya Tata Shudraha Tepeyanti Parangatim. Here many people have translated Papayoneha as an adjective to Stri, Vaishya and Shudra, or at least to 3 like that. But we decided, and like few others have done like that Papayoneha is just another category of people. So basically, even men who are deemed to be of sinful birth, women, traders, or laborers will attain the supreme goal. Here again, we resorted to Gita itself. For example, chapter 16, Gita talks about Papayonis. He says that I push them back into Papayonis, this kind of people, they should redeem themselves. When he says that, he never said that these people are Stris or they are Vaishyas or Shudras like that. So anybody can be that. So that's how we concluded, and we made it as a separate category. This is another in Aniketaha in chapter 12, Tulya Nindastu Tirmoni, Santushto Yena Kenachit, Aniketaha Stiramatihi, Bhaktiman me Priyo Naraha. So here, Aniketaha is not like a vagabond. He does not care for a home. He does not care for a home. Basically means that he considers himself at home everywhere. That kind of a person makes everyone also home. Himself considers himself as at home at everywhere. So he's like a Vishwa Samsari. He's a Vishwa is his home. He's not bound to any particular region. This is in chapter 15 here is another enigmatic verse. Sarvasyaraham hridisannivishto mattasmritir gnanam apohanancha. It is that I give a grand memory and knowledge, and I also make them disappear. This kind of looks crude. God is playing a cruel joke on us. I have prepared for the SAT exam or ACT exam. It's going to take all my memory away. So that's not true. So the way I looked at it is because for us to function normally, we need certain things have to remain in the back burner. They should always be not in the forefront, because we all know we are going to be gone one day, yet we're going to live as though we are going to live forever. That is only possible because that remains in the backdrop. Let alone that even if we just think about the food we eat, what happens to it, to bisibale bath or dokla 2 hours from after you have consumed it, we cannot enjoy that food at all. So this is a God's plan for us to function normally, effectively in a society. This also another meaning of this is gives a kind of imagination, muhanam also. So it gives memory, knowledge, and imagination as well. But I consider knowledge itself is part of imagination. Without knowledge, you cannot have imagination. So we think that it is God's plan. In fact, when Yudhishthira was asked in Yaksha Prashna, what is the greatest Ashcharya, he thinks, in the mystery in the world, he says that we hear people dying or gone and this like that, but all those who are alive, we live as though we are going to live forever. So now we know the answer why it is possible. Of course, Yudhishthira was not present at this sermon. This is we call this as the Charama Shloka, very, very important verse. A lot of people, especially for Sri Vaishnava, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Ahantva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. And this is a very simple verse. Krishna is asking, give up all dharma, all other things, just take refuge in me. Such a promise is basically cutting away all the middle people, and anyone can directly seek Krishna. This is like a savior concept. The concept of savior is very clearly here, but this itself has been complicated. If you are a Sri Vaishnava, you know how complicated the prapatti is. It goes to a lot of ritual. I'm not criticizing, but I'm telling we have undermined the message of Krishna in a way. So we have to remember that this promise is for everyone, whoever is willing to take refuge in Krishna. Of course, as Hari pointed before, idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na chamam yobhyasuyati. Of course, we are not going around and doing tom, but at one time it was kept as a secret. Only people who wanted to seek will be taught. But nowadays we are distributing it because we don't know, we cannot reach out to everyone. Whoever is ready, the message is ready for everyone and they can absorb it. And of course, Krishna also says it's our duty to spread the message to those who are interested. In fact, the truth of this verse, we get it in Bhagavad Gita itself, because Dhritarashtra, who heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, had nothing to say. Whereas Sanjaya was getting awestruck with the message, whereas Dhritarashtra just stood mum. Here itself, we know that Sanjaya grasped the truth of this verse. It just went on deaf ears for Dhritarashtra. This is the verse where he says that we should go and teach others, people who are interested in understanding the message. That is through Gnana Yajna. Whoever studies this earnestly is doing Gnana Yajna. Even this word has been kind of abused in translation. For example, in this Dr. Radhakrishna's translation, he said, worshipping through the sacrifice of knowledge. If someone needs that, it really reads that, it doesn't make any sense. Worshipping through the sacrifice of knowledge. So we left it as it is through Gnana Yajna, and we describe Gnana Yajna as the pursuit of knowledge. In other words, making an effort to understand the words of Krishna. That is what Gnana Yajna is. Finally, of course, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanuddhara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruva Nitir Mutir Mama. So here conclude wisdom plus action equals success. And last two, after narrating the whole Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra, actually it was Janamejaya, Vaishampayana was telling this to Janamejaya, all these things. So Vaishampayana himself concludes गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किमन्यै शास्त्रसङ्ग्रहैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्मात् विनिसृता. Slightly altered version, गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किमन्यै शास्त्रविस्तरैः is used in Gita Mahatmyam, but in the original Vaishampayana it is Sangrahaihi. So our adherence should be to message of Gita delivered from the lotus mouth of Padmanabha himself. What then is the benefit of gathering other scriptures? During the course, of course, there are tons of audios of Bhagavad Gita, but Hari and I were very impressed by these two young ladies, Vanishri and Vijay Lakshmi. They had done that in 2006, but this is the way they look in 2023. We finally got to meet them and also given link, and Suresh Srinivas is trying to incorporate this to his WhatsApp. And of course, we are jadus to reflect on the jadus of Gita, to cleanse Koti Janma Jadyams with Hari's words. This is Koti and Hari, our signature. Of course, we are equally happy enjoying meals in Maya with Gita. I think that is Gita sitting behind us. So, and namaste. Thank you very much for your attention. I might have overrun. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Thank you, Koti ji. I think this is, you're always very humorous, and you bring out that final verse, wisdom plus action. So you're the wise person, and Hariji is doing a lot of the action, and together we have the book. So I'm going to open it up for questions. So we are about 20 minutes behind, and we had one more agenda item, but I want to make sure that that everyone that is able to ask questions either on the book, or if you have trouble connecting to be able to get the book, we can also talk about that. So just unmute, and then you can ask your question.
Just one suggestion, Sureshji. Now, since we are behind the schedule, if we have Koti's email ID and my email ID, anytime people are free to reach out to us if there are any questions. And similarly, for the purchase of the book, we can write to Sureshji or me, and they can get the copies. I would rather spend about 10 minutes. Suresh ji has worked on a fantastic web app for Bhagavad Gita, and if he can just show us a demo of that, then I think we can all have a look at that, and then the questions will always be there. Given the time, I feel this is, if we can wrap up in another 10, 12 minutes, we would have, all the agenda points would be covered. Just a suggestion.
Okay. That sounds good. So let me kind of jump in kind of directly into that. So as Hari said, we have the physical Bhagavad Gita book. And so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Suresh Srinivas. I retired from Intel a couple of years ago, but I am not retired in life. So there's always some new projects, and Dr. Raju kind of initiated this Bhagavad Gita handbook project, as you all might know. If you have gotten to know him, you would have gotten a gift of a Gita book. It was the red book that he used to give, and there were many verses that were either mistranslated, or it didn't have summary and all these things. And that's the reason, as Hari said, we have the physical book. And then we have built an online version, so it is accessible to you, and it uses the voice of those two wonderful ladies. And then we also have an AI agent that you can interact with, and it uses the knowledge from the book. So I will demonstrate. I'll demonstrate this right now. So I had a couple of screenshots, but I'll show you this one. So this is, let me make sure that the sound is also shared. 1 second. Okay, so this site is accessible to everyone, and we'll send that out kind of again. So I will take chapter 12, chapter 2 here. And we had this verse I was kind of looking at. So this contains the Sanskrit, the transliteration, as well as the translation by Hari Ravi Kumar and Koti Sri Krishna.
तमुवाच हृषीकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः.
So there are, this is the default audio option, and you can, in the app, you can kind of select a different option. I think many people are used to this rendering. So we can kind of go back. So you can choose.
तमुवाच हृषीकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः.
And for people that might be interested in doing a full Parayana, we also have ability to listen to the full chapter and then follow along. So this is one of the ways that I have learned the Gita also, is to listen through the Shravanam, and then you can be reading the wonderful translation that Koti and Hari have created. So there are a few more features that we are looking to develop, and I'll also just quickly demonstrate this this AI module. So you can, this is by default, it is available, and it currently has the knowledge of 2 chapters, chapter 2 and chapter 12. And so I can say, create a haiku from 12.12, right? So, so it'll first give us that 12.12 verse. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanad dhyanam vishishyate, right? And if you want to kind of view this verse, one of the ways of viewing these verses is through the translation, but there are also other ways in which you can do that. So you all might have heard Dr. Raju's like poems. So you can create some poems of your own that you can then use to share with people. Routine's shallow dance, mind in quiet thought transcends, peace in letting go. So this is kind of like a summary, and so some different ways of getting to the Gita. So let me stop here, and we have 2 chapters completed, and the roadmap is for us to be able to do 4 chapters every quarter through the next year. And we also have a number of volunteers who have helped with this project so far. So if you would like more details, and we would also like your support to be able to try it out, give us feedback, etc. So that would be wonderful. Okay. Any questions from the audience on the book or what Swamiji covered, or what Gurugalu covered. Gurugalu is teaching the class, so he's not here. But what Hari and Koti covered, or what I covered. Any questions? Okay, as Hari said, the book also has the email address that you can write to, and then you all have our WhatsApp information, so you can also. Nalini ji, go ahead. You have raised your hand.
That was magnificent. The session was so beautiful. Congratulations seems a very mild term to say for something which will be of tremendous use to us at so many levels. How do we get this app? I may have missed it. Maybe you mentioned.
Yeah, so this app is accessible, and I will be sending it to all the people who have the book, as well as to everyone else, right? And I can just post the link right here on the chat window. So the app is not complete. As I mentioned, there are only 2 chapters that we have completed, and we need to be able to complete the rest of the chapters.
Thank you so much. It's magnificent.
Okay, I've posted the app on the chat. So